Blessed risings, good afternoon or good evening, depending on where in the world you are tapping in from. You got to keep in mind that Keep It P podcast is a global show. And today on this episode of B1 Flowers, we will be discussing Quincy Jones, musical titan and entertainment icon, dead at 91. And it saddens my heart, but at the same time, this brilliant Black genius lived until 91 years old when many Black men are dying before that. And I just want to give the man his flowers and say how much I appreciate his genius, even though he was on the bussy side and he didn't really hop out in the forefront of a lot of FBA concerns. I'm still going to give him some love and admiration like they do their heroes. And I just want to say rest in peace to Quincy Jones at 91 years old.
As the man behind some of music's most memorable hits, Quincy Jones was one of the most Grammy-nominated artists of all time.
When you do what you love, it's not work.
Born Quincy Delight Jones Jr. on the south side of Chicago in 1933, Jones found his passion for music when his family moved to Seattle in the late 40s. Jones took a job with the Lionel Hampton Band as its trumpet player. He worked steadily with musical greats like Sarah Vaughan, Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Dinah Washington, and his friend Ray Charles.
We didn't think about money or fame ever.
During the 60s, Jones began writing film scores for movies such as The Pawnbroker, In Cold Blood, and In the Heat of the Night. He even crafted iconic themes for the TV shows Ironside and Sanford and Son. The in-demand musician even arranged and conducted his friend Frank Sinatra's second album with Count Basie, It Might As Well Be Swing. The 1964 album included Old Blue Eyes' hit song, Fly Me to the Moon.
Fly me to the moon.
And we had the best time. It's like being on another planet with him. Frank would say, Q, live every day like it's your last, and one day you'll be right.
Jones suffered 2 brain aneurysms in 1974 that nearly took his life. He recovered and went right back to work. He produced albums for Aretha Franklin, George Benson, and Michael Jackson's first solo effort, Off the Wall, in 1979. Jones' successful collaboration with MJ also led to Thriller in 1982. It became the best-selling album of all time. The dynamic duo teamed up again in 1985 with We Are the World.
I like to think about the studio as a place that's real sacred, where magical things happen. Hopefully, that's what great records are supposed to be about.
Good night, Joe.
He produced his first film, The Color Purple, in 1985. The drama earned 11 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture. Q, as his friends called him, seemed to always have a good idea. He created Quincy Jones Entertainment in 1990. The following year, he produced the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air TV series, starring rapper turned actor Will Smith.
Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down.
You never think of retiring, do you?
Never. When you retire, you travel and you do what you like to do, and I'm already doing it.
In early 2013, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame honored Q for his exemplary contributions to music.
I worked with every major artist in the world in the last 60 years. So it's a blessing, man. It is. You have to take the light part of your life, wipe out the darkness.
And the tether could never do that.
On the
Ever. That's how you know FBA's created all the music, including hip hop. Musical titan Quincy Jones, the composer and producer, who added his tasteful polish to recordings by everyone from Ray Charles to Frank Sinatra to Michael Jackson has died, according to his representatives. He was 91. Jones died Sunday night at his home in Bel Air, California, surrounded by his children, siblings, and other family members. Tonight, with full but broken hearts, we must share the news of our father and brother Quincy Jones passing. The Jones family said in the statement, and although this is an incredible loss to our family, we celebrate the great life that he lived, and now there will never be another like him. He is truly one of a kind, and we will miss him dearly. We take comfort and immense pride in knowing that the love and joy that were the essence of his being was shared with the world through all that he created through his music and his boundless love. Quincy Jones' heart will beat for eternity. A renowned jazz and pop musician, Jones was also a prolific cross-genre arranger, conductor, record label executive, and civil rights advocate. His talent and drive led to an almost unparalleled career in entertainment. I ain't going to talk about that civil rights aspect because that's not why we're here. We're just going to show love and appreciation for the FBA brother. His long and varied list of credits include composing the score for the Oscar-winning film In the Heat of the Night, producing Michael Jackson's blockbuster Thriller album, and gathering dozens of pop and rock stars to record the 1985 charity single We Are the World. Born in Chicago to a carpenter father and a mother who suffered from mental illness, Jones developed a love of music early on and took up the piano. His family eventually moved to Seattle, Washington, where Jones began taking lessons from famed horn player Clark Terry. He also met and became close friends with then unknown pianist named Ray Charles. The pair would enjoy a lifelong friendship. A teenage Jones began performing with jazz bands, and his talent at composing and arranging music drew the attention of band leader Lionel Hampton. Jones was only 15 when Hampton invited him to tour with the group, something Hampton's wife Gladys put a stop to right away. Even back then, you still had the matriarch looking out for the kids and protecting and thinking about the future and education and doing the right things and in the proper way. I got on the band bus. This is Gladys right away, and Gladys got on and said, "Hamp, what's that child doing on the bus?" Jones recalled in an interview with the National Endowment for the Arts, and I was so upset. And she said, "Get him off of here. Make him go back to school. We'll call him later when he gets his schooling." Jones heeded her advice, finished school, and earned a scholarship to Skrillinger House, now known as Berklee College of Music in Boston, from which he graduated in 1951. What you wasn't hearing about, no brother graduating from no school, from no college, from especially no music school. Also, did you see how he listened? She told him what to do, even though at 15, so badly, he wanted to go on tour. This wasn't even his mama. You see the level of respect that we had? That wasn't even his mama, and he listened to that woman tell him. See, this is what's happening in the FBA community. One of the elders could speak. I ain't talking about the old Negroes, them old heads that is Democratic shields and whatnot. I ain't talking about them. I'm talking about how someone older in the Black community, your elder, could tell you to do something, you won't listen to him. But here, Quincy Jones adhered to the advice, and look how it propelled his life and changed it by not going on tour at 15, and Gladys insisting he go back to school to finish his education. Boom. Listened. That's how we used to do in the FBA community. It continues. After graduation, he headed out on tour with Hampton and his band. As promised, she kept her word. Thus began a storied career which found Jones soon arranging and recording for such legends as Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Sarah Vaughan, and his friend Ray Charles, bandleader Lionel Hampton, trumpeter Dizzy Gillespie, and other giants also tapped the young Jones for their European tours. In 1961, Jones was hired by Mercury Records. Do you see how they was traveling over to Europe in the 1950s? to hear that music. If it was tether music, why they want Americans? Africa right there. Why they didn't get none of you African musicians in the 1950s to come and play on the European tours? If y'all was playing that type of music, if it originated from said Africa, how come they didn't get y'all? Y'all had been playing it for so long, right? You had fine-tuned it, right? That's what you did. So why didn't they come get none of y'all? They didn't. They came and got Quincy Jones, an FBA brother. Right. In 1961, Jones was hired by Mercury Records as their artist and repertoire director, A&R. He made history 3 years later when he was promoted to vice president, making him the first African-American man to hold such a position within a white-owned record label. That doesn't make him a civil rights activist like y'all stated, but we ain't gonna talk about that. We just giving this FBA hero his flowers. That's what we're doing. He had his first pop hit with Leslie Gore's 1963 single, It's My Party, which shot to #1. Jones also worked with the likes of Sinatra and Peggy Lee during his time with the label. That same year found him scoring what would be the first of many Grammys, with the initial one being for the arrangement the Count Basie band sung I Can't Stop Loving You. The 1960s also began Jones composing film soundtracks, including In the Heat of the Night and In Cold Blood. He worked with A&M Records from 1969 to 1981 and formed his own record label, Quest. In 1982, Jones had one of his most famous collaborations when he produced Jackson's best-selling album, Thriller, Genius. 3 years later, he called on Jackson and a host of other stars for the charity single, We Are the World. That same year, he found success on the big screen with producing the Steven Spielberg-directed film, The Color Purple. Jones also had a hit on the small screen in the television series The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which starred his mentee Will Smith. His Quincy Jones Entertainment actually put that out. Jones delved into the world of publication in 1993 when he founded the musical cultural magazine Vibe, which he sold in 2006. Did you know that? A brain aneurysm in 1974 caused Jones to temporarily lighten his load. He reflected on his health scare years later in a social media post. While operating for 7.5 hours, my doctors discovered a second aneurysm that was ready to blow, so they had to schedule a second operation. During this time, it didn't look too promising, so my friends planned a memorial service for me at the Shrine in LA, and I basically attended my own funeral. Jones wrote, man, everyone was there. Sidney Poitier, Sarah Vaughan, you name it. It was special to see so many people there to celebrate what would have been my 41 years of life. That's deep. Just think about for 2 seconds going to your own funeral. Just for 2 seconds, think about that. Ponder. Over the years, he had 3 marriages and 7 children. Jones was married to his high school sweetheart, Jerry Caldwell, from 1957 to 1966, and the couple had 1 daughter, Jolie. In 1967, he married Swedish model Eula Anderson, and they had 2 children, Martina and Quincy Jones III, before divorcing in 1974. Once again, we're not here to talk about that. We're not here to talk about that. We're not going to point out who he had relationships with and children with. You love who you love. We're not going to beat the brother down. We came here to give him his B1 flowers and to hold down our heroes the same way they do the Rolling Stones, Aerosmith, Bruce Springsteen, Billy Joel. I'm telling you, it continues. That same year, Jones married actress Peggy Lipton, a union which lasted until 1990 and produced 2 daughters, actresses Rashida Jones and Kidada Jones. They used to date Tupac and someone else. Tupac and another person. He also had a daughter, Rachel, with dancer Carol Reynolds, and a daughter, fashion model Kenya Kursky Jones, with actress Natasha Kinski. Jones didn't slow down personally or professionally in his later years. In 2014, he produced a documentary, Keep On Keeping On, about his mentor, jazz trumpeter Clark Terry, reflecting on his own career that year. Jones told Rolling Stone, I never thought about it until I hit 80, but I have been blessed to work with every major music star in the history of America, including Louis Armstrong. You can't plan that, Jones said. You can't say, Mr. Sinatra, I want to work with you. No, you have to wait until he calls you. In his 2022 book, 12 Notes on Life and Creativity, Jones reflected on the essence of his life's work. Creativity is one of the most beautiful gifts we possess, Jones wrote. If utilized properly, not only does it serve as an outlet, but it also holds the power to transform heartache into something beyond a singular sentiment. Rest in peace, Mr. Quincy Jones. Here are your B1 flowers, sir. But I ain't gonna hold you. I'm just gonna mold you, fold you, and scold you about being off code. Gonna leave you with 4 words as we always do at this time. Subscribe for the vibe, like for the spike, comment your vomit, and share if you care, if you dare, to get Black empowerment everywhere. We are on all of the platforms: Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook. Come and take a look. You might get hooked. Don't get shooked by the imposter QBP podcasts that are out there. There are some fake ones, y'all. Love, peace, blessings. In Maloha, I gotta go ha for show ha. You already know how. Big brother like Bryce Supremo, my T, signing off.